All right, so Airbnb has got to be the most exciting earnings that I'm looking forward to this week, maybe of all of earnings season. And it's because I think the growth here is extraordinary and it's gotten beaten down enough to a point to where I think it actually is worth scooping up. Some might make the argument that, yeah, their price to sales is way overvalued here, but I don't really pay attention to any of that only because of the growth story is just so extraordinary. And I'm going to get into some numbers in a minute that are going to really surprise you, I think. The growth story here is really significant, especially when it comes to lodging, which are stays that are more than 28 days or longer. And I've looked at some of the other travel stocks that have reported already. And the demand here, especially leading into the summertime, is going to be significant, especially if we don't see any other variants of any kind of stranglehold some of the economy, as we've seen with Omicron and Delta and others. I think that we've decided that we're going to just move to live with COVID no matter what strain comes about, unless it's going to be something that is super significant that can get past all the vaccines that have come out. I think that we have finally started to learn to live with this, and we're going to go out and do things and travel regardless of what's going on with COVID-19. So if that's the case, then I think that the demand and the growth for Airbnb is going to be extraordinary, and the sky should be the limit. Expedia actually reported that their increases on lodging were up by 35% as of their last earnings report last week. And that actually made the stock go up. We saw some really good numbers there. So that tells me that I think that we see an even bigger increase on Airbnb. They're number one when it comes to lodging, not Expedia, not Booking. It's Airbnb. 20% of their nights booked come from lodging, which again are 28 days or longer of stays. So I think that that's going to be significant, especially since we've talked a lot about working from home and that the hybrid approach to work is here to stay. Have some people going back to work? Of course. However, I think that there is this element that has stuck around, that has been super sticky. You can probably relate to this. Are you one that has decided to just work remote from this point on? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And are you staying at an Airbnb as well? So let's get a look at the chart. I'm going to throw some more numbers at you as far as Airbnb's concerned. And I'll give you some of my expectations as far as where we could see the stock going, whether they beat or whether they don't. Okay, so Airbnb's expected earnings per share are at 3 cents per share. Not really anything crazy, right? So it's going to be very interesting. If they come in and miss this number, they're going to be more than likely reporting for a loss. So that would be pretty tragic for the stock. Estimated revenue is around 1.46 billion. And again, that's according to Yahoo Finance. Taking a look at the chart here, and you can see that it has had a really, really tough resistance here at $177 a share. If we go back to the fall of last year, you can see that 177 was tested not once, not twice, but several times. And now it's starting to look like it may try to be a stubborn area for Airbnb yet again. We've seen this spike up above $200 per share, and even way back in 2021, of the early parts of 2021, we saw this sit around 219. So taking a look at this, I think that there's certainly potential for Airbnb to get to the 200s yet again off of earnings. And we're going to have to see what they give us as far as guidance is concerned. I think that's going to be very, very telling. Just in the third quarter alone last year, the platform facilitated 79.7 million nights and experiences booked in the summertime. This is actually really, really encouraging, and it was up 28% from the previous year. I think that we see an even larger amount. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw double that for this year. Gross bookings rose even faster, climbing 48% to $11.9 billion, as people were willing to pay more for Airbnb's unique offerings. And you can't blame them. It's way better staying in an Airbnb than it is staying at a hotel. I mean, I'm sorry, you just can't. You can't compare the experiences that you get staying in an Airbnb versus something like a Marriott or a Holiday Inn. You just can't. The platform's average daily rate includes its notoriously stiff cleaning fees, which some might argue is a bit of a drawback or a headwind for them, but people are still paying for them. Sometimes the cleaning fees are up to $149, but I'm wondering if we see a little bit of a pullback on that, or is that here to stay? The reason why I'm saying this is because if COVID continues to kind of become less and less of a story, maybe those cleaning fees do come down because they won't have to do nearly as much cleaning and sanitizing every single little thing to keep COVID at bay. That being said, there is reason to believe that maybe that sticks around because revenue soared over 67% that quarter and when it comes to just cleaning fees alone. So if earnings come in tomorrow and they actually do well and they give us a good outlook, I would imagine that we see this blast right above that $177 resistance and maybe start to make moves towards that 212 area that we saw back in the fall. This was granted before, Omicron reared its ugly head. So I'm sure that Omicron will be addressed, and maybe there could be something in that report that may lead us to believe that perhaps there were some struggles and challenges due to the Omicron variant that may hold back the actual quarter that we were reporting on. But again, I really kind of just want to see what's going on with the outlook here. What's the summer months look like for them? As long as everything stays the same when it comes to COVID and anything else that's going on around the world. You can see that the 50-day moving average is also kind of acting as a support here at around 163.5. And I think that that's more than likely going to stay there. But if they do come in and report a miss on earnings, if they come in and report a loss per share, that's going to significantly impact the stock. And I think that there's a chance that this could come back down to those lows around 138. I'm not trying to scare anybody here because I am an owner of Airbnb as well. But I think that it's you have to be realistic with yourself. If they do come in and miss earnings and it's a tech stock, especially if they report for a loss, we've seen what stocks have done here this earnings season when they don't perform the way that investors want them to. They get absolutely punished. Look at PayPal, look at Facebook, look at many others that have been in that same situation where they didn't meet expectations. Netflix comes to mind as well. This falls into that category where if they don't meet expectations on revenue or they come in and give a poor report on outlook, then Airbnb will get absolutely hammered. So I want you guys to make sure that you're understanding that risk going into these earnings, especially if you choose to buy before earnings come out tomorrow afternoon. Speaking of which, I will be giving a live reaction to these Airbnb earnings. So make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified when I go live at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time, just before the market closes. I'll be giving my reactions to Roblox, Airbnb, among others as well. So if you guys want to watch that and participate in that stream and give our reactions together, definitely do that. Also, if you want to watch this for me every single day, I put an incredible watch list for folks. I do a lot of due diligence on those, and I give my technical breakdowns before the market opens to give you kind of a direction of where to look each and every day. If you guys want to be a part of that and help support the channel and everything you see behind you, hit that join button next to subscribe and become part of the Chaos crew. You can either do that or go to ownthechaos.com as well and show support for the channel. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Let me know what you think about Airbnb. Are you bullish on this? Do you prefer another travel stock? Is it that you'd rather go after the cruise lines, maybe a Disney, for example, or are you looking at an Expedia or a Booking.com? Let me know in the comments below, guys. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you tomorrow.